Hello, everybody. Welcome back on Unversed podcast. Danny here. Today, we're talking about Danberu non Kiro Moteru. I don't know what the English translation for it is, but essentially, this manga is a manga about working out. Caught my eye not that long ago. I was like, oh, okay, now I have to check this out. And it's for, people who are interested in working out and who like waifus. Because that's all this is. It's just waifus working out. With great art and some comedic panels. I think it's worth everybody's time. I'm pretty sure it's weekly. It's very short. And this is very much similar to, what was it called? Oh gosh, it's escaping my name. That one about the Dagashi Kashi. It's very similar to that. Whereas it's just a week-by-week basis. There's really no significant plot unless they decide to do so, which only covers 2 to 3 chapters max. Never really brought up again unless it is another storyline. But it's just fun. That's all pretty much this manga is. You get like I said, you get the waifus here, and they just work out the basic routines that a lot of people might not know, give you tips on how to work out properly, and all that great stuff. So I do think this is worth a read, for sure. Especially if you're not too well versed in working out. I think this is pretty good. It gives good tips, like I said, and it's just overall fun. You get a surprisingly bigger cast than I was thinking it would be. But you have about 5-6 main characters. You have the trainer who in himself is just a comedic presence, right? He looks normal until he rips the clothes off. Then he's just Herculean looking being, but his head is still the same size and same art style. So it has that going for it. And then you get the main character who's just there to lose weight, but can't stop eating. You have her friend / classmate who is obsessed with working out, and then eventually you get another friend whose father runs a gym for boxers, so she's already athletic, and then you get the teacher involved, and then you get a foreign exchange student from Russia involved, and then it just keeps going, and then we get introduced to characters here and there that are involved with other characters. So that's pretty much what this is. The reason the cast is so big is so that way it gives off this Shokugeki presence, right? Where, at Shokugeki, when they're explaining the dish and the climax of what makes the dish so good, they draw a very ecchi version of this female character being attacked by the food. It's pretty much the same here, except it's the ladies working out, and they are just, the clothes get loose, they start coming off or whatever, they're sweating and all that. A really good art style. I want to say I've seen this art style before. I just can't think it, so I'm going to have to look it up at one point and see what they've done. But other than that, it's, again, there's really not much to say. Right now, I've only read 40-ish chapters, and it's starting a mini plot. And that's another thing, about these mangas is I like the premise. There is just no structure to it other than it has to be a week-to-week thing of different exercises. There's really can never be a standard structural story plot, right? There's elements that pop up in chapters that come back, sure, recurring elements, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, don't expect too much out of this, Oh, okay. So his manga that he's doing right now, I'm assuming, is Kengan Ashura, if that sounds familiar. I mentioned it on a main episode. It's one of the new Netflix shows coming out. It's also on my list, so we will come back around to this eventually. That makes more sense, because at the end of the chapters, there was this, it looked like cross-promotional thing with it. I'm like, oh, I wonder what manga that is, probably from the same magazine. Turns out, well, it's from the same guy. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, overall, this is literally just to pass the time and to like if you're curious again about working out, or if you don't know certain things about a certain exercise, just read this. I mean, the max, it's like 15 pages a chapter. They go by kind of quick. But I think it is good. There's really good tips and all that. So I do recommend reading Danberu non Kiro Moteru, which is like dumbbell something something. And of course, we do get some. It's interesting because, like, if they're not at the gym, they try to do a creative way to still get them to work out somehow. Like, there was like an idol competition, and they went there and did some workouts, and then they're like, it's the gym's closed. Let's go to a park, and then they do stuff there and all that great stuff. Let's go to your house because you have training equipment. So it's the main premise basically is every chapter has a workout. And if it doesn't, I mean, so far every chapter has had a workout, whether or not it's the main premise of the chapter, right? You could be 2/3 into the chapter and then they bring up a workout, or it's the first thing they talk about. So they do try to do different things here and there. A lot of parody stuff, right? There's a parody of Disneyland of Arnold, Schwarzenegger, and all that great stuff. Plus the art style when it gets ridiculous. Like, I think it was in the first chapter when they went to the gym and it's just like super detailed art of just these buff monsters just working out on the machines and the benches and stuff. Was great. It's a total 180 of what this manga really is. But yeah, I mean, it's good. It has a good sense of humor, and I mean, aside from everything else I said, yeah, it's worth a read. So go check it out. There's not a lot of chapters out right now, so there's really nothing to lose. Won't even take you that long to read because the pacing is pretty good for what it is, and if you know the workouts, then you can kind of just skim it. Like, that's kind of what I did. I kind of skimmed a little stuff. I'm like, I already know how to do this and that. So, I'm not really tripping. But that is all I have to say for this manga. I had a good time with it. So if you have any questions, comments, or anything like that for this, remember, you can always email us at unversedpodcast@gmail.com. And you can follow us on social media at unversedpodcast anywhere you go. And as always, we will talk to you next time.
ジャックが仲間になった。